In this video, we're going to do 3 web scraping projects in Python. We'll start with a very basic web scraping project that only needs pandas. And then we'll do a more challenging project with Beautiful Soup and Selenium. So let's get started. Alright guys, in this first project, we'll quickly extract Excel files from this website using only pandas. Then with a for loop, you'll be able to extract all the files listed here. So let's start by importing pandas as PD. So I import pandas as PD, and here I'm gonna read a CSV from a URL using pandas. And now let's perform some basic web scraping with pandas. Web scraping consists in extracting data from websites. So instead of doing it manually, we can automate it with some web scraping techniques. And in this video, we're going to extract CSV files from a URL using only pandas. So here's the target website we're going to scrape, and it's this one. So this website contains data about football matches of different leagues. So here you can see a lot of leagues, and now I'm going to choose the first one that says England football results, and here we're going to see some data about Premier League and other leagues that England has. And if I want to download one of these files, I will have to click on any of those, and as you can see here, I downloaded that CSV file of the first listed here. So this one corresponds to the season 21-22 and is from the Premier League. So instead of manually downloading each file, we can use a specific pandas method to read these files from the internet. And also by using the for loop, we can automate this and download all the files that you can see here. So instead of clicking one by one, we can download all the files listed here. So there are a lot of them, and we can download it just with pandas and a for loop in Python. So let's do it here. And now I'm going to show you how to extract data from a single CSV file from this website. So to do that, we have to use the read_CSV method. So we write pd.read_CSV, open parentheses, and we've used this method before, but when we use it, we read some data that was in the folder where we were working. So in the folder where this Jupyter Notebook file was located. But in this case, we're not going to read anything inside our computer, but we're going to read data that is in a website. So instead of writing the path of the file in your computer, in this case, we're going to write that link of the file. So here, I'm going to show you this file has a link. So if we want to download, we have to make a request to that link to get that file. So I'm going to show you here. I'm going to right click, and now I'm going to copy the link address. So I copy, and now I'm going to paste it here. And now I press enter, and let's see what's going to happen. So I press enter, and as you can see here, instead of going to the website, it downloaded the file. So this means that this link contains the data we want to extract. So we're going to use this link. So I'm going to copy again here, copy. I'm going to make sure this is the address. So copy link address, and now go back here, open quotes, paste the link, and this is the link we want to extract because it contains here that .csv. So this means that this is a CSV file, and as you might remember, we read here a CSV because we're using the read_CSV method. So that's everything you have to do to read this CSV file that is stored in this website. So now I'm going to run this, and let's see the results. So here, as you can see, all the data was read here with the read_CSV, and it was successfully loaded here. So now I'm going to set here a new variable, and it's going to be called df_premier 21. And as you can see here, this belongs to the 21-22 season because here in the date it says 2021. And also this is Premier League because the teams belong to the Premier League. You may know if you're familiar with this competition, but if you're not, it doesn't matter. So now let's continue. So here I'm gonna set this data frame to this variable. So I press Control Enter. And now I'm going to show here this data frame that we saw already. And now I'm going to rename some columns because some column names aren't so obvious. So maybe you will struggle to understand what this column means, for example, and I'm going to rename some of them. So let's do it here fast. And we also practice that rename method. So here I'm going to copy here. Now I write the name of the data frame, dot rename, open parentheses. And now we want to change the columns. So I write columns equal to, then open the dictionary. And here the key is going to be, let's say we want to change only these two columns. So I'm going to tell you what they mean. So here I can write the name of the column we want to change, then colon, then the value, and now comma, and now the second key or the second key value pair. So here is the second element, and now I'm gonna paste this one. So here it's the second, and now this first FTHG stands for final time home goals. So it means all the goals scored by the home team. So I'm going to replace this name with the home underscore goals name. And here is final time away goals. So I'm going to write only away underscore goals. And that's it. Those are my new names. Now to update the column names, I'm going to write in place equal to true. Now I run this, and now I'm going to show this data frame updated. So now this column is named home underscore goals, and this one is away underscore goals. And with that, we finished the first project. And now in the next section, I want to tell you about one of the biggest roadblocks you'll probably run into when doing a web scraping project. This is getting blocked. Websites are becoming increasingly sophisticated at detecting and preventing automated scraping attempts. They monitor traffic for suspicious patterns, like multiple requests from the same IP address in a short period, and they'll block you if they suspect you're a bot. That's where proxies come in, and today I want to introduce you to the perfect solution, Smart Proxy, which is the sponsor of this video. Proxies are essential for web scraping because they mask your IP address, making sure you're not banned when collecting data. Smart Proxy takes this to the next level with its residential proxies. Smart proxies are optimized for web scraping with a response time under 0.5 seconds, and you can enable automatic IP rotation to reduce the risk of bans. Smart Proxy also has geo-targeting options that let you filter by country, state, city, or even zip code. And setting it up is easy. You can literally copy code snippets in Python or whatever language you prefer, straight from the dashboard. If you ever get stuck, they have video setup tutorials, extensive help docs, and technical blog posts. There is also 24/7 customer support accessible via live chat. Smart Proxy is beginner friendly and save you so much time. Plus, they offer a 3-day free trial, so you can test everything out without any risk or commitment. So if you're ready to level up your web scraping game, give Smart Proxy a try. Check out the link in the description and get started today. Thanks to Smart Proxy for sponsoring this video, and now let's continue with the next project. In this video, I'm going to show you how to scrape data of football matches from the FIFA World Cup. So we're going to scrape all the matches played so far, and we're going to use Python and a library called Beautiful Soup. So let's get started. Okay, to scrape the data of football matches from all the World Cups, first we need a list with all the years that represent a World Cup. For example, from 1930 to 2018. So these are the years that had a World Cup. All right. After that, what we have to do is install the library to scrape a website. In this case, I'm going to use Beautiful Soup. And to do this, what we have to do first is install Beautiful Soup. So what we have to do is open the terminal and write pip install bs4, which represents Beautiful Soup. So we press enter and we install Beautiful Soup. And after that, what we have to do is import this library. So we write from bs4 import Beautiful Soup. So now we have Beautiful Soup. And after we do this, we have to get the link that we're going to scrape. In this case, I'm going to start with the 2014 WordCap, and I'm going to paste it here. So I'm going to leave the link in the description, and I'm going to give it a name, which is going to be web. So this is the website that I'm going to scrape. After this, what we have to do is send a request to this website. And to do this, we have to use the request library. So what we have to do is import requests. I'm not sure if this library comes with Python. In case it doesn't, what we have to do is open up a terminal again and write pip install requests. So we press enter and then we can continue with this. So we need requests to send requests to the website that we're going to scrape. So I'm going to copy these requests and then use the get method. So I write get and I have to write the website where I want to send my request. In this case, this website that I created the variable. So after this, when we send a request to a website, we get always a response. So I'm going to name this variable as response. And after we do this, we're going to get a response and we want the text of this response. So we use the text attribute to get the text of this response. So what I'm going to do now is print this response so you can see what this looks like. So I printed this, and what we have here is the HTML of this website. So the HTML behind this website is printed here. So if you know some HTML, you can recognize some elements like the tags and all of that, but you don't need to know HTML to scrape a website, but it helps. So after we do this, I'm going to create a variable named content. So this content is going to be parsed, and to parse this content, we need a parser, and we're going to use a parser named LXML. But first, I'm going to use this Beautiful Soup that we imported, and then this accepts two elements. The first one is the content, and the second one is the parser. So content and then the parser, which is LXML. This LXML we need to install. So we need to open up the terminal and write pip install and then LXML. Then press enter and you install this parser. So now I'm going to name this as soup. This is the typical name that we use for this. And this soup is going to help us extract data from this website. We cannot extract data if we don't have this soup. So now that I have this soup, I can start scraping this website. So basically what we did here is the common steps that we need to get started with the Beautiful Soup. Now we can start scraping this website. So I write soup.find. In this case, to get an element, we need to use either find or find all. The first one helps us get one element in particular, and the second one, find all, helps us get multiple elements that match the name of the tag and the class name that we're going to write in a couple of seconds. So in this case, I'm going to use find all because I want to get all the matches here. All the matches that were played in the group stage, in the knockouts, the semifinals, and the finals. So I'm going to get multiple matches. So I'm going to use find underscore all. And then we need to follow a syntax. But before I tell you this syntax, we need to go to the website and we need to inspect this website to see the HTML behind this website. So to do that, I have to right click and then click on inspect. So after this, we get this developer tools, and here we can see the HTML document. So this is the HTML that represents this website. And to get one specific element, what we have to do is click here on this button on the left, and then select any element that we want. All right, now to script a website, what we have to do is find a pattern. Every time that we want to scrape a website, we need to find a pattern that we can use in our code. So here, a pattern that I discovered is there is something with the matches, with the rows actually. So this match is inside a row. So if I, for example, I select Brazil here, I click on it, I get this element. But I don't want only Brazil, I want the whole row that gives me the match. So what I have to do is in this HTML document, just scroll up a little bit until I find the row that contains all the data. So I'm gonna scroll up, and finally I found this row. As you can see, this element highlights all the row in blue, and that tells me that this is the row that I was looking for. So if I now click here in this arrow, I can minimize this element and I can see if there is a pattern here. So first, let's identify these the elements in this HTML element. So first we have a div, this is the tag. Then we have this item type is a class name, and then we have another class name which is class with the value football box. So this is one element. Let's see the next row. So we have this one, and as we can see, it has the same elements. It's exactly the same. So we have div and we have class, and then we have football box is the same. And if we scroll down, we have the same for the next match. So as we can see, these three rows have the same elements. So we can use this to get all the rows in this website. So we're gonna get from group A to group B, C, D, until group H, and then semifinals, knockouts, and well, the final. So we're gonna get all the matches, and that's good. So now I'm gonna show you the syntax I was talking about before. So to extract the data inside this element, we have to follow a syntax, and this syntax tells us that we need to write first the name of the tag. So here the tag, and then the name of the class. So we write class, this is a parameter, class, and then the name of the class. So let's identify this in this HTML document, or actually in this element. The tag is div. As we can see, the name is div here in blue. So here, instead of tag, I write div. And then in the class, we have to write the name of the class, which is football box. So I copy this, and then I paste it here. This is the name of the class. All right, so now we have this element that represents this row. So this is a match. So I'm gonna name this as match. But since we're gonna get all the matches, because it's gonna be like this one and this one and this one, because as you might remember, we're not using find. Find will give us only the first one, but find all gives us all of them. So find all gives me all the matches. So I'm gonna name it matches because we're gonna get all the matches inside a list. So when we use find all, we get a list with multiple elements. Matches is a list. All right, now what we have to do is loop through this list, which is matches. So I have a list and I'm gonna loop through it. So I write for match in matches. I write the colon, and then I'm gonna extract each data that I want from this row. So in this case, I just want to get the name of the home team, which is in this case Brazil, the score, in this case 3-1, and the away team, in this case Croatia. So to do that, I'm gonna open this element with this, clicking this little arrow, I think, and then what we have to do is identify this element. So I'm gonna scroll down a little bit, And then I'm going to identify the one that gives me the home team, which is this one, f home. So we have this element th with tag th, and then with class name f home. So this is the one I'm looking for. Then for the score is this one, f score, and for the away team is this one, f away. So we have all these elements. Now we only need to get them inside this for loop. So what I'm gonna do is write match. In this case, match represents the soup that we created before. As I told you, we cannot extract data without the soup. But since this soup is inside this matches list, we can use the match as a replacement, we can say. So this match is gonna get us all the data, or it's gonna help us get inside these elements that are here in the rows. So we are now in the rows that is here. Now we want the data inside the rows. So we're going for f home. So match dot find in this case, because I just want one element inside this row. And then I'm gonna write first the tag. In this case is th. And then I'm gonna write the name of the class, which is in this case f home. So first th, then comma, and then class underscore equal to f home. So I have now this. And now to get the text inside this element, what we have to do is use the get text function. So I'm going to write get underscore text parentheses, and with this I have the name of Brazil. So the text inside this element is Brazil, and I'm going to get that. So now I'm going to duplicate this twice, and I'm going to change the name of the class. The second one is f score, and the last one is f away. So now f score and f away. Great. So now we have all these elements. And now to see the results, what we can do is print this. So I'm going to print each of them to see the results that we have so far, to see if everything's working fine. So now I print this, and now I can run it. So I right click and run this to see what we have so far. And as you can see, all these elements were printed. So we have from the first match, which was Brazil-Croatia 3-1, which is this one, until the last match, which is Germany-Argentina. This was the final. And if you scroll down, you're gonna see that is here, the last match. So 1-0, and it's here 1-0. So we successfully extracted all this data. And now what we have to do is put all this data into a table. And to do this in Python, what we have to do is use a library called Pandas. Pandas is a package that allows us to better manage the data that we have. So basically in Pandas, we work with data frames that is the equivalent of a table in Excel, but it helps us manage our data efficiently in Python. And to use Pandas, what we have to do is import Pandas. But first, of course, we need to install it. So we have to go to the terminal, write pip install pandas, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We press enter and we install pandas. So in this case, I'm going to import pandas as PD. So PD is going to represent pandas. And now to create a data frame, which is a table, basically is simply a table, what we have to do is create lists to build this data frame. So what I'm going to do here is create 3 lists. One for the home team, the other for the score, and the last one for the away team. So I'm going to write home equal to this empty list, and then here the score, then away, and that's it. Now I have to append each element to these lists. So I'm going to delete this print one by one so I don't get any error. So it's ready. So now I'm going to write home that append open parentheses, and with this we append each home team to the home list. And then we do the same with the score, and also we do the same with the away team. So away that append then we open the parentheses, and that's it. So we have each element in each list. So with this, we have the lists. Now what we have to do is create a data frame. And something I like to do is first create a dictionary to organize my data, or my lists in this case. So I'm going to create a dictionary called dig_football. And I'm going to open these curly braces and write the keys. In this case, you can name it as you want. I'm going to name it the same name I put for the list. So home, score, and away. And the values are going to be the lists that we created. So the home list, which is this one, then the score list, which is this one, and finally the away lists. Again, these names can be different from the keys. And finally, what I'm going to do is create a data frame. So I write PD, which represents pandas, that data frame. This is the method that we're going to use. And then I'm going to use this dictionary that I created, and I have it here. So with this, we create the data frame, and I'm going to name it as df_football. So this is my football data frame. And finally, what I'm going to do is also create a column that identifies the year of this data frame. For example, this is the World Cup 2014 from the Brazil. This World Cup belongs to Brazil, but we don't care about the country, but the year 2014. So to do that, to register that the year, we're gonna create a column named year. And then I'm gonna write it equal to, in this case, it's gonna be only for Brazil, and it's gonna be 2014, which represents the World Cup 2014 Brazil. So that's the final World Cup. And now I'm going to print so you can see the data frame. So I print this, then I right click and run, and we get this data. So we have all the data that we extracted better organized in a data frame. So we have from the first match, Brazil-Croatia, the year 2014, and the last match, Germany-Argentina, the final in 2014. So that's how we extract data from this Wikipedia website. But we only extracted one single World Cup, this 2014. But what we can also do is extract data from all the World Cups from 1930 to 2018. And then also we can extract a fixture of the 2022 World Cup. And to do this, I'm going to create a function. So what I'm going to do is first define a function which I'm going to name get_matches. And this is going to have as input the year. Because as you can see, the year is going to change. It's the only thing that changes. Then I'm going to put all of this inside this function. And then we have to identify another pattern. In web scraping, we always look for patterns most of the time. And here we have to see the website. So I'm going to the website again, and something interesting that Wikipedia has, this website in particular, is that it organizes let's say the links based on the World Cups based on the year. So this website remains the same, but the only thing that changes from, for example, the World Cup 2014 with the World Cup 2018 is the year. For example, if I write here, instead of 2014, if I write 2018 and press enter, voila, we have the World Cup 2018. And that works for all the World Cups, also for the 2022, which is the coming World Cup, Qatar. And also, for example, here, 1930, which is the first World Cup, we can also get it by just writing here instead of 2022, 1930. And we have the data of this World Cup. So now what we have to do is just implement this here in our code. And to do that, I'm going to use something called fstring. Fstring is basically some kind of a string that allows us to put variables inside the string easily. So to do this, we only have to write the F in front of the quotes that we have here. And then we have to to introduce a variable inside this string, we only need to write these curly braces. So now instead of writing 2014, we can write year. So this represents the input that I have here. So this is going to be for all the years that we have in this years list. And then we have to look for the changes that we have to make because we're now using that year variable. So everything here remains the same, and here we have another change. So instead of writing 2014, we have to write year, which represents my year input. And that's pretty much it. Now we can test this function by writing, but there is something else. Here I need to return something. So instead of printing this, I'm going to use return, and we're going to return this data frame, df_football. So this is the data frame, and finally we can test this function. So I can write the name of the function, get matches, and then we can write the year that we want. In this case, I'm going to write 2018, which is the last World Cup. So 2018, and we can print this to see the results. So we print this, and now I'm gonna right click and then run this and see what happens. So we have the result. I scroll up, and we have from the first match, which was Russia, Saudi Arabia, 5-0, and the last match, France, Croatia, 4-2. So this is all the data in this World Cup, and as we can see, this function is working just fine. But there is a little detail I want to mention. There are some years, or actually some World Cups, where we don't have the same pattern. So for example, let's go to 1930. In this World Cup, actually it's here, 1930. If we inspect this website, we can see that we don't have the same pattern that we use here for the home score in a way. So for example, if we use the function and we extract data from 1930 and we press run, actually we don't get all the matches. I'm not sure if it was for 1930. I think it was for the World Cup 1982. I'm gonna run, and as you can see, we only have 4 matches, and this is very weird because in the World Cup 1982 there were more matches. So if we check out here, we see that there are a lot of matches, but we couldn't extract those matches because we don't have the same HTML document. So if we inspect this, we see something different for example, the home team. It doesn't have this this thing that we use, the fhome class name. It has a different class name and different tag name, I think. So what I'm trying to say is that for the old World Cups, we might not extract all the data, but we can use another approach that I'm gonna show you in the next video. So our function is working just fine, but for some years, we cannot just extract all the data because they just don't follow the same pattern. But as I said before, we're gonna deal with that later in the next video actually. And now I'm going to finish this by extracting all the data of all these years. So what I'm gonna do is first use a for loop. So I'm gonna loop through this years list. So I write for year in years. And then I'm gonna use the function to get all this data. So get matches, and then I have to write the name of the year. Actually this year variable that is inside this loop. And we're gonna get all the data of all the World Cups. So now we need to store this inside another list. So to create this list easily, I'm going to use list comprehension, which is basically the same but with a different syntax. So I'm going to use get matches here. I'm going to put this here, and then I'm going to put this here. This might look weird if you don't know list comprehension, but it's exactly the same. But this helps me create a list faster. So here I can name the list, which is, I'm gonna name it FIFA, and this is basically the same. I can use this approach that I used here with home and empty list and then using append, but this is another approach that does exactly the same, but it it's shorter, we can say. So after we do this, we get all the we get one data frame for each year. So we get a data frame from 1930, 1934, and so on until 2018. So what we have to do next is concatenate each data frame. So we only have one data frame or one table. And when I say concatenate, I mean join all the tables. And to join all these tables, we have to use the concat method in Pandas. So I write pd that concat to join all the data frames or all the tables of all the WordCaps. So now I have to write FIFA because this is the list that has all the tables. And then I'm gonna add an extra parameter, which is ignore underscore index, and set it this equal to true. This basically ignores the index of each data frame, which is not absolutely necessary, but I just want to add it. Then I'm gonna write df underscore FIFA, which is gonna be the final data frame, which is the combination of all the data frames that we extracted here from 1930 to 2018. And finally, I'm gonna export this to Excel, actually to a CSV file. So I write to CSV, and then I'm gonna write a name for this file. In this case, I'm gonna name it as FIFA underscore WordCap underscore historical data .csv. We need to write the extension, and I'm gonna add a parameter which is index equal to false. This allows me avoid these index that are here. So for example, here I have the index 0, 1, 2, and 3. If I don't want to export this into the Excel file or the CSV file, I have to set index equal to false. So I only export the columns home, score, away, and year. So that's why I write index equal to false. And with this, we have all the historical data from 1930 to 2018. And finally, I'm gonna also get the fixture of 2022. So if we go here to 2022, we're gonna see that we have exactly the same structure, but we have a single small difference. Here we have the matches, but we don't have the results because the World Cup Qatar 2022 hasn't started actually. So we only have the home team, the away team, but we don't have the result of the match. So that's why this is gonna be only the fixture. We're gonna get instead of the score, we're gonna get match 1. So here I'm gonna write get matches, which is the name of my function, and then write the year 2022. So with this, we get the fixture. So I'm gonna name it as df underscore fixture. So this is the fixture, and now I'm gonna export this as a CSV file. So I write to underscore CSV, and then I'm gonna name it something like this that I have here, but instead of historical data, I'm gonna name it underscore fixture. So that's CSV, and then index equal to false. So we don't export the index, and that's it. Now we can run to see all the results. So I'm gonna right click, run this script, and wait a couple seconds. All right, the script finished running, and now we can open the files that we exported. This FIFA World Cup historical data and the fixture. You can open it with Excel. In this case, I'm using PyCharm, and I have a plugin that allows me to read these CSV files inside of PyCharm. So I have these two files, fixture and historical data, and I'm just gonna open this first one, historical data, and I have this this file. So this is the CSV file that I'm opening in PyCharm, and this letters and BSP is just something that the plugin doesn't read well, but actually this is this was extracted successfully. So we have all the matches from the first match in 1930 to the last match in 2018. So the final France Croatia 4-2. Then we can also open up the fixture of the World Cup Qatar 2022. So we have the first match, which is gonna be Qatar Ecuador, and the last match, which is gonna be the winner winner 1 with winner 2. So this is the final match, and that's it. That's how we scrape data using Beautiful Soup. Alright, before we start with this project, I want to add some notes that you have to keep in mind before starting with this project. First, here is the website that we're going to use for this project, and instead of using the original website that I show in the project, I want you to use this website, this version, which is the web archive version, because the original website changed its HTML code a bit, and the code will not work if you use the original site. So I'm gonna leave this link in the description, and with this link you're gonna be able to use the code that I showed you in this video without any problem. Just keep in mind that when you use this web archive link, things might be a bit slower. So in the code here you have to add an import time and then add a delay of, let's say, 5 seconds or whatever you need. Anyway, then what you have to do to start this project is use Chrome driver. In the project, I don't mention how to download Chrome driver because it's very basic, but in case you don't know, what you have to do is go to this website that I'm gonna leave in the description, and then scroll down and go to this stable section, and then here identify the part that says Chrome driver, and then you have to select the platform that you work. In my case, I have a Mac ARM64, and then you have to copy this link that you have here. You have to open a new tab and paste it. Then you're gonna download this zip file, and inside is gonna be Chrome driver. You have to leave this Chrome driver in any folder, and then copy the path of this Chrome driver into a variable named path. And well, I'll show you how to create this variable in the project. Okay, now let's start with this project. In this video, I'm going to show you how to automate this website so we can extract the titles and subtitles that you can see here in the news. So we're going to extract these titles and subtitles of each card, so we don't have to visit this website every time we want to read the news, but we only check our txt file and see the titles and subtitles, and we can see which is the most interesting news for us. So let's go to PyCharm, and the first thing we're going to do is to create a driver. A driver allows us to interact with this website through Selenium. So let's do this. So first we have to import WebDriver. So we write from Selenium import WebDriver. So that's the first thing we do, and after that we have to make another import. So we have to write from selenium.webdriver.chrome.service import service. So in Selenium 4 we have to make this extra import, which is something we didn't need in Selenium 3, but for Selenium 4, which we're using right now, we need this extra import. So let's continue with this, and now let's define the website and the path that we're using. So first, the website that we're going to automate in this case is this website I chose, which is all about football, and I just copy and paste it. So here's the website, and now the path. So the path is where you downloaded the Chrome driver. So in the previous video you downloaded a Chrome driver, and you have to copy and paste the path of that file. So just copy and paste it. So I'm just gonna paste the path of my Chrome driver here. And now let's define the driver. So I write driver equal to webdriver.chrome and open parentheses. In previous versions of Selenium, that was enough to create a driver. But on Selenium 4, we have to do an extra step, which is creating a service. So here I'm gonna write service equal to, and here use this service that I imported here. So I just copy and paste. And now I have to write executable path equal to path. So this executable underscore path argument is equal to the path that we defined here. And after this, we have to define the service parameter inside this Chrome method, and equal to service. So basically, it's first we define a service. We say executable path equal to path, and then we define here in the service parameter, we set it this equal to service, which is this one that we defined before. And now we can open a driver by writing driver.get, and inside parentheses we write website. So driver.get website, and if we run this, we're gonna open a Chrome driver or just the Chrome browser. As you can see here it says that Chrome is being controlled by automated test software, and this is not the browser I had before. The one I opened before, that I showed you before, is here. So this is the one I opened manually with Chrome, but this one is the one that Selenium opened by itself, so automatically. So we're gonna automate this this website, and we're gonna do that on the next video. Alright, in this video, I'm going to show you how to extract the title and subtitle of this news. So, first, to extract the title and the subtitle and all the data in any website that you visit, you have to right-click on any blank space and select the inspect option. So I select on inspect, and now we have this developer tools open. So this tab that we just opened is developer tools. And here it contains all the HTML elements that is behind this website. So you can see here that we have many elements and they represent the elements in the website. So now I'm gonna click on this option or this button on the left, the one that is here, and I'm gonna select a specific element that I want. So here, let's select this element that is here on the right that I'm hovering on right now. So I'm gonna click on this element that is here on the left, and then I'm gonna drag to this element that is here. So this is a card of a news, and there are many. So I'm gonna choose this one in particular just to work with this. So I click, and now we have this element in blue. So it's selected this in the developer tools, and this indicates that this is the HTML element that is behind this card. And as you can see, every card contains a title and a subtitle. And this one here too contains a title and a subtitle, and this one, the big one here, also a title and a subtitle. And now let's check out other elements here in the developer tools. So we have now this element in blue, but we can go up and see this div element. So we have before this a element, but here we have now the div element, and this one represents, I think, the footer of this news. And if we go up, we can see, let's say, a small container that only contains the title and subtitle, and if we go up, we see the container that only contains the image of the news. So basically that's how it works. And also here, this is the element, let's say the parent element, and this one contains the whole thing. So I'm gonna use this one in particular to locate this card, and not only this one, but all these cards, because they represent or they have the same pattern. So I'm gonna build an XPath that locates this element. And to do that, we have to press Ctrl F here in Developer Tools. And once we press this, we have this option that allows us to find an element by its XPath. So here we have to build the XPath, which basically consists of a tag, a attribute, and the attribute value. And now let's create this XPath. So I'm going to copy the attribute value because it's a bit long and I might forget. And now to create this XPath, I only have to write /, then the name of the tag, which is div, then open square brackets, and here I write this @, and then the name of the attribute, which is class, then equal to double quotes or single quotes, and now I paste the element that I had before. And as you can see, this element is now highlighted in green. Now this is great, we have the whole card selected. But on second thought, I think it's much better if we only select the text, because here now we have not only the text, but we have the image of the news. But we only want the text because that's what we're going to extract. So to do that, I'm going down here, and this one represents the image, as you can see here. And I'm going down one more time, and this element represents only the text. So I'm going to replace the value of this attribute, and I'm going to paste it here. So we only obtain that element and not the whole thing. So here I paste it, and now I have this element, which is, well, first we have this one because this is the first element on the website, and then we have this one. So this is the one we're working with, and well, we also have this one and this one. And by the way, here in this option, we can navigate through all the elements that were found. So as you can see, not only this element represents this XPath, but also all the news that you can see in this website. So let's go back to this one. And as you can see here, we only have the title and the subtitle. So only the text. Great. Now let's copy this XPath and let's go back to PyCharm. And what I'm going to do is paste this XPath. And now I'm going to write driver that, and here I'm going to use a method called find element. So I choose this one, and this has two parameters, by and also value, which I just wrote here. So by and value. The first one is the method that we're using to locate this element, and in this case it's an XPath because we just build the XPath, as you can see here. And in the value is the value of the XPath. So I'm just going to copy and paste. And well, it's here, but as you can see, there is a conflict because we use double quotes here for this XPath and also here for the value. So it's like a conflict. So I'm gonna press Ctrl Z, and I'm gonna use single quotes to avoid that conflict. So now I paste, and we have this. So this is great. Now we have this element, and with this we are supposed to get the element that is here. So the text, title and subtitle. Here there are different methods that you can use. You can also use the ID or the class or any other attribute, but we're gonna use mostly XPath in this course. Great. Now before we move on, here we have to modify this method. So we shouldn't use find element, because here if we use find element, we're gonna get only the first element in this website. So as you can see here on the bottom, there are 50 elements that were found with this XPath. So we can navigate here with these arrows. We can navigate from the first element to the last element. And if we use only find element in singular, we're gonna get only the first element in this list. So this one, the one that you see right now. So this one here, that's the only element that we're gonna get. And we don't want that. We want all the elements in this website, that all the elements that were found. So to do that, we have to use the find elements method. So in plural with the S. So now we're gonna get all the elements that are found with this XPath. So great. Now we have this, and I'm going to set this equal to containers. So this is my variable. And now let's move on here. And now that we have this XPath, I'm going to show you something else that we can do. So let's go back to the element that we had before, which is this one. And great. Now we have this element, which is in green, and we have the whole, let's say the whole container, but we only want the title, or we want the title and subtitle separately. So we don't want to extract them together, but in different variables. So what we have to do is just to open this element here. We can click here and open the elements that are inside this element. So to see the children of this element. So we open this one and we see that there is this A element, and we still don't get the title and the subtitle separately. So we click one more time here, and now we have this H2 and this P. And we can see that this H2 represents the title and the P represents the subtitle. With this, we can get the subtitle and the title separately. So we only have to build the XPath. And to get to these elements and to get this XPath, we only have to add this slash, which says, hey, give me the immediate node. And we only have to write the A because the A is the immediate node that follows this div. So we have to write A. And as you can see here, we have this A followed by this div. So it's like a sequence. We have first the div and we have now the A. Now we write this slash again, and now we have to get to this h2 because this one represents the title. So we write slash, and now one more time we write h2. So this is basically the sequence. First is div, then is A, and then is h2. And we use this single slash because we want to get only the immediate node. So everything is perfect. So div, A, and h2. And if we navigate here with these arrows, we can see that we get all the titles in this website. So everything is perfect. So let's just copy this XPath, and now let's paste it here on PyCharm. So I'm gonna paste it and I'm gonna comment this out. Okay, now to get to this title element, I'm gonna use driver and I'm gonna use find element. So now again, we write by and we write value. And now we write again XPath. And now we paste the XPath that we just built. So it's here, I paste it. So now I write single quotes to avoid any conflict, and we have this. So as you can see, this XPath and the previous one we built has something in common, which is this one that I'm selecting right now. So this is the same as this. And there is nothing wrong if we leave this as it is because it's correct, but we can improve the syntax of this code. So what we can do here is to reduce this containers variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through this list. By the way, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but the difference between find element and find elements is that find element returns a single element, but find elements returns a list, and a list is an iterable, so we can iterate through a list. So we're using find elements and this returns a list. So containers is a list that we can iterate through. So we write for container in containers colon, and now we can put this inside the for loop. So now we can use this container variable and we can replace this instead of driver. So we can replace this with driver. So we paste this one, and now we have container.find element. And basically this new, let's say this new syntax is reducing this container variable. So now instead of writing all of this XPath, we can only use the dot sign and just replace all the XPath that we had before. So this dot represents this thing. And we can use this dot because we're using here also the container reference. So this container is used as a reference for this new XPath. So this is like a new syntax that you can use to avoid writing a long XPath as we had before. Great. Now let's find the XPath for the subtitle. So here we have the XPath for the title, which was here. And now let's find the XPath for the subtitle. So as you can see here, the XPath for, or the element for the subtitle is the one here that is inside the P tag. So this P tag represents the subtitle, and to get to this P element, we only have to delete this H2 and only write P. So as you can see, now we have all the subtitles. So the subtitle of this news, now the next one, and the next one, and this one too. So it's great. Now we have all the subtitles of all the news listed in this website. So now we only have to copy and paste it here, comment this out, and I'm gonna duplicate this line of code with Control D. And now we have this. So instead of writing the whole thing, we can only write, just delete this and P. And let's compare this. So first we have this. And this is represented by the dot, which is, by the way, this one, which is exactly the same. So then we have A, which is here, /A, and then /P. So this is the equivalent of this. So great. Now we can delete this, and now we have the subtitle element. So far, so good. Now let's go back to the website, and I want to show you something. Here we have right now the subtitle element, as you can see here. But what happens if we only want the text? Because right now we have all these elements selected in green, as you can see. It's all this element with the tag name, with the attribute, and also this thing. But we only want the text, which should be in white, like this one, but it's in green right now because it's selected. So what if we only want the text and not the whole element? So if we only want to extract the text, which is in white here and is in black in the website, what we have to do is to use the text attribute. So let's go back to PyCharm, and to get to the text, we only have to write that text. And this returns only the text of this element. So we have this whole element that is in green, and with the dot text, we only get the text inside this element. So we copy this one and we use it also for the subtitle. Great. Now let's give a name to this expression. So I'm gonna write title equal to this, and now subtitle equal to this. So with this, we have the variable names and we can move on. All right, now the next element that we're gonna get is the links of each news. So here we have each card, and let's go here again to the card. We have this card, for example, and what we want to do is to get the link. So we go directly to the website that contains this news. And as you can see, the link is here. It's inside the href. This is the link. So I'm gonna just click on this link, and now let's wait. And as you can see here, we have the news that corresponds to that card. So is all the details about this news. And now I go back here, and well, that's how we get to the link. And now we verify that that's the right link that we want. So now we have to build the XPath that gets that link. So I'm gonna delete this /A and /P, and now we have only this. So to get to this href, or to this link, we have to add the /A that we had before. And this is the element that represents this whole, let's say this whole description. And if we want to get to the link, we only have to use the href attribute. That's a method that we can use in PyCharm. So let's just copy this, and let's go back to PyCharm. So I'm going to use again the container as a reference, and again find element. And here I'm gonna use by, and again we're gonna use the XPath as a method, and we're gonna write value, and here single quotes and the whole XPath. So we don't need to use this part of the XPath because we already have the container as a context. And okay, now we can get only the href. And to do that, instead of writing that text, for example, as we did before, we only have to use the get attribute method. So we write get attribute, and inside we write the name of the attribute, which is href. As you can see here, the name of the attribute that contains the link is href. So we write href, and with this we get the link. So we don't get the whole element, but we get only the link of this element. So now I'm going to define this as link equal to, and that's it. Great. Now one little detail that I want to tell you here is that usually the links are inside href attribute. This is like something that you're gonna see quite often. And also the href is inside an a tag. So you will usually see that the link are inside href attribute and also inside an a tag. So that's a typical element that you will see often. So the next time you want to get to a link, just look for the href or look for the a tag. and you will get to the link fast. So now back to PyCharm, and with this we have all the elements. So another detail that I want to mention is that here we're using find element and not find elements, because here in this for loop we're iterating through each element of the list. So containers is a list, but container is an element. So here is only a single element per iteration, so we only have to use find element because it's a single element. Great, in this video we learned how to locate all the elements that we wanted in the website. In the next video we're gonna see how to export all these elements in a CSV file, and we're gonna use Pandas for that. Alright, in this video we're gonna see how to export all the elements that we extracted to a CSV file. So first, what we have to do is to create empty lists. So I'm going to create 3 empty lists. The first one is going to be titles, and this one represents this title element. And now I'm going to duplicate this, and the second one is going to be subtitles in plural, and the third one is going to be links. So I write links, and these are my 3 lists. Now what we have to do is append each element to a list in this for loop. So in each iteration, we're going to append an element to this list. So we only have to write here titles and use the append method. So this append method allows us to append each element to the list, and we only have to write the variable that we want to append. So it's like this: titles.append, and inside parentheses the element. Now I duplicate this, and I'm gonna use only subtitles, and I'm gonna use the same logic. So subtitles.append and subtitle. So this one is the list and this one is the element. And one more time, now links, the list, append the element, which is link. So this is what we have, and this is how we append each element to the list. So in every iteration. Great, at this point all the lists are filled with the elements in this iteration. So what we have to do now is build a data frame with these lists. And to create a data frame, we have to use a library named Pandas. So I'm going to write here import pandas as PD, and probably you have to install this library. So go ahead and click on terminal, and here just write pip install pandas, then press enter, and you just have to wait some seconds to install this library. I already have this library installed, so I don't have to wait anything. So once you have pandas installed, you can write this import pandas as PD, and now we can use the library pandas with this PD. So I write PD, and now I can use the data frame method. So now I can use the data frame method, and I can open these curly braces, and inside I can use a dictionary. So to show you this much better, I'm going to create a dictionary so you don't get confused. So first I'm going to write dictionary underscore or just my dictionary. So my underscore dict, and open here a dictionary. So as you might know, a dictionary consists of a key and a value. So the key is the one that is here on the left, and the value is the one that is on the right. So the value, I'm gonna set it here to my variable, which is titles. So our dictionary is going to have 3 keys and 3 values. So the first value is titles, and I'm going to name this as titles2. There is nothing wrong if you set the name of the key as the name of the variable, but if you want, you can change it. For example, I can write only title. You don't have to write it the same way. You can change it a little bit, or you can change it completely. You can choose. So now I'm going to write the second element, which is the subtitles list. So here are subtitles, and I'm going to paste these subtitles, and I'm going to write just in singular, subtitle. That's the name of my key. And now the third one is links. So here, links. This is the name of the value. By the way, the name of the value obviously has to be the same as the one that we want here, which is the list. And here I'm gonna write the name of the key, which is link, which I can choose right now. Great. Now we can use this dictionary to create a data frame. So here I copy the name of that dictionary and I put it inside parentheses. And with this, we can create a data frame using this dictionary. So just a recap right now. First, we have these lists here, empty lists. We fill these empty lists with all the elements here in the loop. And then now that we have all the elements inside these lists, what we have to do is to create a dictionary. So this dictionary has a key and a value, and the name of the key, we can choose it, but the name of the value is the name of the lists. So with this, we have the dictionary, and we created this dictionary to create a data frame. So we only write pd.data frame, and inside we write my_dict. And with this, we have this data frame. So I'm gonna name this data frame, and I'm gonna set it equal to df_headline. So we have this data frame, and now we can easily export this to a CSV file using df_headlines.to_CSV. So we're exporting to a CSV file. But there are other options like JSON and also Excel and HTML and different options. But I'm going to choose CSV, as you can see here. And now I'm going to give a name to this file, and it's going to be headline.csv. And with this, the file is going to be exported with this name. So great. Now to end all of this, we have to use driver.quit. So after we extract all this information and we export all of this to this CSV file, the driver is going to be closed with this .quit. Great. Now let's test this out. So we right click and choose run. So I run this script and let's see what happens. So first, Python is going to open this driver through Selenium, and now it extracted the information and it closed the driver. So the script was successfully executed, and now let's check if we have this headlines.csv here on our working directory. So here I open this, and we can see that there is a file named headline.csv, which is this one. So we were working in this folder named tutorial, and this one is the file we just generated. So we double click on it, and we can see that we have the title, the subtitle, and the links. So now let's verify if this is correct. The first title is best of the best, and the subtitle says who makes our Man City versus Real Madrid combined 11 and all of this. So let's check if that's the same here, and yeah, it says best of the best and who makes our Man City versus Real Madrid and all of that. So everything was successfully extracted, and we also have the links. So we can visit any news that is interested for us. We can go directly to the website, and we can check all the news here without being distracted by all these images and all the ads on the website.